Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Coffee Time with me, Stephen Rowlands. Coffee Time is all about spiritual chat and questions and answers. I have a guest on every week, and we will talk about all things spiritual. And we invite people to ask questions, any questions they want about what we're talking about, or any questions of a spiritual nature that they would like to ask. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce my guest this week, the lovely Helen Louise Ayres.
Good afternoon, Stephen.
Good afternoon, Helen. Nice to see you again. Long time no see.
And you. Has been a while, hasn't it? Has been a while. Thank you so much for inviting me along.
No, you're very, very welcome. For those who don't know you, I mean, I know you're very well known, but for those who don't know you, can you just describe, what you do in your spiritual journey so far, please?
Yeah. So next year I'll be 8 years into my spiritual journey. I sat in development circle at my local church for 2 years. It was for me, it was quite a sudden transition, really. Although I sensed spirit with me for many years before I worked with the spirit world, it was when my nan passed to spirit, who I was very, very close to, that kind of almost opened the door for me to connect with spirit. And it was quite a sudden opening of the door, I want to say as well, because it was, I suddenly could hear spirit. I could hear my nan, for instance, 2 weeks after she passed. She was sort of talking to me and I was like, whoa, okay. and in that moment, obviously, because it was that sudden, I was a little bit scared, and I thought, oh, this is like really strange, but I kept with it. And then I decided to sit in development circle for 2 years. And I'm quite lucky in that I can hear my dad in spirit and my nan. These are the two family members. And then obviously I sat for 2 years to develop. And here we are now. Absolutely love the work I do. And I think with this kind of line of work, we never stop learning. We never stop learning. I think the spirit world are always teaching us new ways and different things with the spirit. I absolutely love it. You live and breathe it, I think. But I want to say as well, with this kind of work that we do, it is a big commitment. And you have to make that commitment to spirit. And I feel it's like a two-way street. If we step up and make that commitment to the spirit world will step up and meet us halfway. And I feel like I say to anyone who wants to develop and learn, that commitment is really, really important. You can't be half in the door and half out the door with this sort of work. You've got to really, be fully focused on it and commit, because the spirit world see that as if you're only half in, half out. Well, why should we help them if they're not prepared to commit to us, is what I believe with it. But it's been so very rewarding. As I say, I'm 8 years into the journey now, and I absolutely love it. I live and breathe spirit. I think it's important that when we learn to sit with spirit, we are working with spirit. Not working psychically or picking up on someone else's energy. I feel that's really important as well. But obviously I've got my own page on Facebook, Helen Louise Spiritualist Medium, should anyone want to find me or follow me. I do live readings, church services, all sorts of different demonstrations of mediumship. That's where we're at, really. Does that answer that? I know I was going on a bit there.
Yeah, that answers that quite fully. One interesting thing, well, there's a couple of points I want to raise about what you said. Let's go to the first one. A lot of people seem, in my experience, a lot of people seem to come into spiritualism through grief, or they awaken their spiritual awareness through grief.
Yes.
I think grief can open a door, can't I, within the mind, within the heart.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think with that as well, I've been working with someone for 3 years now. Every 6 months I do her reading. And she lost her partner quite suddenly, and he wasn't very old when he passed to spirit. And she didn't want to go on or live her life anymore. And I think the work that we do helps people so much. And you know, she's gone on to do Reiki healing. It's opened the door for her, and it's really opened her up emotionally. And I think that it's just amazing how much comfort you can give to somebody, especially like you say, when they are grieving and they've suffered a massive loss, you know. It can be almost like counselling for that person, but it also gives that person the strength to carry on and live their lives again, you know. So I feel like this work is invaluable for the comfort and the support that it gives to people. Do you know what I mean? And also the healing side of things as well, you know. So it's wonderful to know that you're making a difference and you're really helping people. That's what I want to say, because that's why we do this work as well, you know. 100%. Yeah.
And I wish more people would realise that we do it for service to others. We do it to bring comfort, healing, uplifting, all that kind of stuff. And, you know, it is a pathway of service. I mean, I know you would agree with that, Helen. But,
absolutely.
You know, and it's something that becomes lifelong, you know.
Yes.
And the second point you raised, which I thought was lovely, one of the first things I was taught coming into spiritualism, it's about dedication and commitment. And you mentioned that.
Yes,
And
because
that
I
is
think,
so true. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, because I just feel with that side of things as well. Obviously, I've run development circles in the past, and you know, that commitment to it. I feel like I just drone on like an old woman to people, but I know what the spirit world expect, and they do expect that side of the commitment side of things. And if people are half in, half out, it is going to affect their journey, and they're not going to keep moving forward, because spirit need to see that commitment from you, you know. I mean, it's like for me, when I'm doing any services, or if I commit to something, I'll commit to it unless I'm crawling on my hands and knees and I'm really, really poorly. So, but no, you know, I've worked not feeling particularly great, for instance, but I'll just push through, because I know that I've made that commitment to spirit, and it's an important commitment to make, isn't it? You know, and it's that's what I'm saying. And people say, oh, what's it? But it's not for everybody. It's not an easy journey either. The journey coming up to work with spirit was difficult for me, because, you know, my Jade, she had spinal surgery in London for 4 years, and I could sense spirit then. I could, you know, like when you first start and you can feel cobwebs on your hands and face. But I didn't connect until after the surgeries was finished. But it was quite an emotional, difficult journey. That's what I want to say. I couldn't understand. I was like, I feel so, you know what I mean, emotional, and have my struggles with everything, that I was like, whoa. And then when my nan passed, this is what I'm saying, the door opened, and it was like, this is the time we want you to start working with spirit. Yeah, so that was interesting how that happened for me. Yeah. So,
Yeah. That raises so many things that I could talk about. Well, I'm just trying to think about one. Let's go to the silly one first. All right. Years ago, I was running a development circle, a closed development circle out of Woking Spiritualist. And two of the sitters were the president and the vice president. I actually chucked them out of the circle.
Right. Really?
Yeah, because they were always on holiday, because they were retired. And they were always booking themselves on holiday. I said, it's not fair to the other students.
No.
You know, and it breaks the energy, and I want to be teaching you all together, not being on catch up all the time.
No, you know, that's right. I do. I totally get it.
They were a lovely couple.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they accepted it, but it did feel strange chucking the president of the church out of the circle.
Yeah.
The other thing I want to talk with you about is, like with your Jade, and you know, having her surgery and whatever, you know, that's where I feel the test is to our dedication and commitment, because I've had my personal problems as well.
Yeah.
When I've been on my crap, or I'm just knackered, all right. You really have to learn to rise above it. I remember, not this year, but the year before, my ex-wife told me that she didn't want to be married to me anymore. And I was up north doing 4 or 5 services, and to rise out of that sadness, to connect with spirit, took some doing. It really did. You know what I mean? And this is, I feel, a part of our ongoing spiritual development.
Yeah,
Would you agree?
yeah,
That
I
kind of
do.
thing, you know?
And I think, you know, because what people forget as mediums ourselves is we've got a lot of personal things with our own families going on, or worries and concerns, and we still have to keep going through that, you know. And I do feel that the spirit world support us 100,000,000%. And I think if I didn't do this work and I didn't have this faith, I know that I would really have struggled even more so with just managing things, you know, because my mum hasn't been too well, and there's just lots of things going on in the background. And I think spirit world have helped to support me on that, you know. And I think also coming back to Jade and surgeries, I think that everything happens for a reason. I do believe that, a reason and a season. But I also think that it's given me great empathy and understanding of suffering, if you like, really, to kind of go through all these things emotionally with Jade. And it's helped me to become I want to say, a better person, more understanding, you know, having the empathy and everything like that. So it all happens for a reason. But at the time, you couldn't understand what that reason was because I wasn't working with spirit at that moment. So that's what I want to say about that, really, you know. So yeah.
Yeah. As well as dedication and commitment, what spirit needs from us, they also need us to have a kind and compassionate heart. And I think that our experiences in life, like with your, Jade, and my different ups and downs in my personal life, and everything that's happened to me, you know, I think it helps us to have a greater awareness of compassion and to bring that compassion into our mediumship. I know you'll agree with that.
Yeah, 100%.
You know,
And
it's not,
as I said, it's not, it's something to be taken really seriously inside of the commitment. And also the other thing I wanted to say is personal responsibility is quite a big one. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like, you know, when you're on platform, when you're in church, wherever you are doing a demonstration, my tutor was quite strict, you know, in some respects with the fundamentals. But actually, I'm glad of that, i.e. no swearing on the platform, and taking responsibility for how you deliver a reading or a message to someone. Do you know what I mean? And I think it's different when you do a one-to-one because you can give someone a lot. Do you know what I mean? You can give them everything you've got to give them in a personal one-to-one reading. But when you're obviously on a public platform, you have to kind of be a bit more careful with delivery in terms of what you can give, even though you might receive more. But I feel that is, I take that really seriously, how you deliver your messages. I feel it's important, you know, and this is where that massive personal responsibility comes into effect here as well, you know. So
yeah, in my in a development circle where I sat in 3 development circles, but the last one was the one that I consider that I'd done really all my learning in. And Spirit taught us that we're responsible for everything that we say. So we're not allowed to cause harm or hurt or anything like that. So, you know, and especially, I mean, not swearing is just good manners. You know what I mean?
I know, but it's not always really taught essentially, or
well,
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Mentioned, and then it's like, yeah, exactly. But you know, I've seen it myself, and I just think, I know that they might have had colourful language. I'm not disputing that the spirit world, someone might come in and be like that, yeah, but I wouldn't stand there and repeat that. Do you know what I mean? I would probably just say, oh, they've got colourful language, and I'm not going to stand there and repeat that because I just think it just lowers the tone or lowers the energy a little bit. So I feel with my teachings, I was taught very well, and also the you know, a really can't get my words out now. Just taught really well, and the disciplines of it all, you know. And I think that they are very important, you know. And it's not for the faint-hearted, but if you put the hours in, you put the work in, anything's possible for anyone at the end of the day. Do you know what I mean? But you have to make that commitment. You can't be, as I say, half in, half out, because it's not going to work. And like you, I've had that in the past with not everyone sitting in, or do you know what I mean, missing weeks and so forth, where I've had to say something and then it's a difficult conversation. But it's only because I want them to succeed. I want them to do well. Do you know what I mean? And I know what's expected from the spirit world. And so that's, you know, that's what I believe in my heart. Do you know what I mean? So that's how I want people to be with that approach. It's important. It really, really is, you know, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I think, well, when I've got a spirit communicator using colourful language,
Yeah.
what I tell them is, oh, he or she used to swear a lot, and
Yeah.
I'm gonna,
Perfect.
I'm gonna put into polite English what they're saying. So I
Yes. Same
translate it,
thing.
you
Yeah.
know, without
Yeah. Yeah.
saying all the other stuff. It gets a laugh
Exactly.
as well, you know what I mean? But
It does, doesn't it? But I think, you know, do we want to keep that positive energy flowing? And one does
yeah,
not need to swear to bring that energy forward. Whether I know some people will find that like that's funny, that's the humour, and I do work with a lot of humour,
yeah,
but I don't tend to. I just feel like it's just the way I've been taught, I think, and I think everyone's taught a different way, but you know, I think it's important to be working with the spirit world, with the spirit that comes forward, not psychically where you're picking up with someone's energy. I was only just working a few months ago in Oxford, and another medium called Jeff come up to me at the end and he said, you know what, he said, what a wonderful evening, but he said to me, you know, you're working with spirit and that's what it should be, not none of this psychic stuff that's coming out on the platform. He said the amount of psychics I've seen lately and it's not connecting with spirit. And so that really meant a lot to me, because that's how I work. I work with the spirit world. I try and connect with the people, you know, that's what I do, work with people's loved ones. And I think that's the important way to be working, you know?
oh,
Yeah.
I agree 100%. What was I going to say? Yeah, I'm like you. I'll work with spirit, but to me, spirit use psychic energy to communicate. So there is
Yeah.
some psychic in it anyway,
Yeah.
because
I know
they,
what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah.
granddad, mum, whoever,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, your
Yeah.
dog, whatever, they're using that energy to communicate. Your
Yeah. I
guides
understand what you
are
mean.
using that energy, although you're connecting with someone's loved one
Yeah.
or whatever it is. Um,
Yeah.
you know, and I just think people, you raised a couple of good points actually, Helen, and I'm trying to get it into sort of like plain English so we can have this conversation.
I
But
understand it. Yeah. Yeah.
it's just so, I'm glad I had you on because there's such a lot in my head now. But what I want to say is, on the one hand, I
Yeah.
think people are too quick to develop, and
Yeah.
they just stay stuck at a psychic level, a pure psychic level,
Yes.
where
Yes.
they're reading
Yeah.
from another person's etheric, which is totally wrong. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Um,
Totally.
and also, oh, what was I going to say? I just think people are too quick to develop. That's right. You developed for 2 years, all right.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
was about 2.5, something like that. But in my
Yeah.
day, we had to ask the medium's permission to go on the platform.
Yes.
It's probably the same for
Yeah.
you because, you know,
Yeah.
all the medium said to you, it was about time you went on the platform. But there
Yeah.
doesn't seem to be that today, does there? There doesn't seem to be that etiquette today,
No.
where you
You're
reach a certain
100%.
standard and then you can go out into the big wide world. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
Absolutely.
And
I totally understand that, and I think, you know, that I've been given readings in the past, and they're coming from quite a psychic way of delivering, and even said, oh, I've not had any training. So I feel it's important to have that training, to have them disciplines, to learn the kind of right way to prepare to work with spirit. I mean, I do quite a lot of meditation. I find that really helps to settle me, my nerves, my energy, to clear my thoughts so that spirit can have a clear channel. I'm forever in meditation when I'm working, but some people say, oh, I don't need that. But for me, I find it really helps to, you know, be an anchor to help me to open up, you know, the channels within the mind, to clear the mind, because that took me about 2.5 years to learn, to be able to you know, put all my stuff in a box, if you like, and say to spirit, I'll have it back later, all my worries, all my concerns, and that took it took me, I think it was 1.5 years to be able to switch my life off then, all my problems, and be a clear channel for spirit. And that isn't something that happens overnight. that took me quite a long time to be able to say, okay, I'll have my problems back later, because I used to struggle, because as soon as your own mind starts to come into it, then you start blocking spirit and you block your links then, do you know what I mean? If you're asking the questions, whereas you just allow the energy to come into your mind, the spirit to come into your mind, you know, and we access it from there. But that takes quite a long time in itself, just to be able to switch your mind off and do you know what I mean? Put it all away. I mean, I find it really easy now, but obviously I've been doing it a while now, so I can just kind of switch it off. But when you're learning, it takes a while, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just reading this quote here from Find Me a Medium. Meditation essential for blending of energies and development of visualization skills for spirit to use in their communication. One of the best things I was ever taught was you can't have imagination without an image. Okay. Because spirit links, I mean, basically meditation is imagination, but spirit linked to your imagination to put their own images in. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and that's right.
I'm starting a development circle myself soon, and I've said to people, like what we're talking about, leave your troubles outside the door.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And when I talk to people, like in a service or wherever, I talk to people that I'm going to be teaching to become a clear vessel of spirit. Some of them look at me like I'm speaking ancient Egyptian or something. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? What's all that clear vessel? You've got to put, because what people have got to realise is, Helen, it's not about us.
No.
It's about that, getting that message through from a loved one or a spirit guide.
And delivering it.
And delivering it. We step to one side.
We do. And that's a really interesting thing that you've said there as well, because quite often if I do an evening of mediumship, I think sometimes I go quite deep within my spirit now. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if I'm going into slight trance, because by the end of the evening, I can't remember anything I've given to anyone, because it's not for me to remember it anyway. And you can imagine how brain overloaded you'd be if you took on board everybody's links and so forth. But I think that you don't remember that, because even my husband has noticed that when I'm working, I'm a different sort of confident person. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's almost as if a change occurs. It's as if you're not standing there anymore and spirit are just taking it all over. And he's actually noticed that. So that's quite an interesting point I wanted to say as well, you know, definitely. Yeah.
Well, I made a point to some people the other week, whenever, all right. We were discussing, because people have noticed that I change. All of a sudden, I'm super confident and all the rest of it, and light-hearted, everything like that. Whereas at home, I'm naturally quiet, you know.
Yes, same.
And I was just saying to these people, I think spirit, through that blending of energies, they amplify our personalities.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, definitely.
The positive, more, dare I say, extrovert side of us comes out. You know what I mean?
Yes,
I think that's a good thing. I really, really do.
I think you're right. And I think, you know, what I've learned along the way is be true to yourself. And I think now I'm more true to myself now than I ever was, you know, and I know that I've got stronger with that, because spirit need to work with the soul of who you are. Do you know what I mean? And use your personality, your traits, whatever. And I think the more of a clear channel you are, the more true to yourself you are, the stronger that becomes. That's what I've kind of witnessed myself, you know. Being true to yourself is so very important, especially when you're connecting or working with spirit and you're delivering messages. That's fundamental for me, definitely.
Well, that is, because spirit have chosen you to work with you. There's something unique about you that they like. Okay.
Yes.
That they can use and work with and all the rest of it. It's when people say to me, I want to be like this medium or like that medium. You can't be. You can only be your own medium.
Everyone has that beautiful, uniqueness about them, and everyone has beautiful energies, and that everyone works slightly different to the next medium. So I agree with what you're saying. You can only nurture yourself and you know what I mean, work with spirit of who you are. And as you said, I do sometimes think that spirit would be quite selective, essentially, sometimes as well. Like you say, it's almost as if you are chosen at a certain time. It's certainly how it felt more for me. Do you know what I mean? Even though I think I had that ability from a child, you know, because I'd see things and, you know, and I never thought about spirit then. Do you know what I'm trying to say? So
Yeah, I
yeah,
do. Yeah, it's amazing how people come into it in different times of their life. I've met people that didn't come into it till their 70s through one reason or another. You know, they're just searching
yeah,
for something, or
yeah,
they've got grief, or they're having spiritual experiences or whatever. Right, to me, I
yeah,
mean, I was 18 when I first walked into a spiritualist church, because I knew that there must be some purpose for it, for everything that I was experiencing. There must be a purpose for it.
yeah,
So I went seeking out that purpose. I know now
yes,
what it is. It took me till I was 15 to realise that's what it was.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I do
But
know what you mean.
talking of
Yeah,
meditation, you see, with mediumship, it is about self-development, as you quite rightly
yeah.
said. So it's not only meditating and prayer before service, it's meditation and prayer, having that quiet time with spirit just for yourself, isn't it, as
And
well?
that, yeah, absolutely. And that for me, I mean, I hear people say, "Oh, I don't do any meditation, I don't prepare," but I I feel it's important. I feel it's that beautiful sacred time that you have, you know, in meditation with the spirit world before you go in to do whatever demonstration you're doing. Um, and I just still find to this day that it helps me with my nerves. Do you know what I mean? Because you know, we do get nervous before we go onto platform. Although that's got quite a lot better for me now. But I do prepare, probably over prepare. But then I'd rather be like that, because I do find, say, if I'm doing a dem on an evening or something, spirit will be with me from the morning onwards, you know.
Yeah.
And I can feel my mind switching over to spirit, and it's as if that part of the brain switches off, you know, like the common sense and the memory, because spirit are trying to come in on the other side of your mind. Do you know what I mean? And I'm very aware of it, and sometimes it's like, oh, I feel all at sea, but I know it's not me, it's spirit, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes, you know, like I'm at work in the day and I've got a demonstration to do that night. And I'm thinking about
Mm.
the demonstration, especially if there's an address involved or something like that.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of subjects for the address and things like that. And I know spirit are there. And
Yes.
then I'll tell myself off because I drive for a living, you know what I mean? And I can't really be with spirit while I'm driving around the roads. You know,
Yeah,
I,
I
I,
get it.
I,
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think I think with mediumship and the knowledge we build up over time, it makes us more mindful about the way we behave, doesn't it?
Oh, 100%.
You know, why am
And
I
I
feeling
think,
angry? I shouldn't be angry at this time, or I'm feeling
yeah,
sad, or whatever emotion we're
yeah.
feeling.
It
You
makes
know,
you get to grips emotionally, doesn't it, with your own spiritual self and what you're projecting out into the world and who you are as a person. And you have to almost take that responsibility for yourself a lot more, because the spirit world hold us in high regard, and it's as if like that they want you to hold yourself in high regard in terms of what you say and how you treat people, and giving that love and giving that empathy. And I think that comes in a way kind of almost side by side, but it's how you work and how you deliver, isn't it, you know? Because I feel with mediumship as well, it's about helping somebody to open up emotionally, because I think a lot of people struggle to, you know, especially with grief, I want to say then, where it's like, you know, they need to have a good cry, but they're struggling to release that. And then you get the other end of the scale where they just really cry. And I think, well, that's what's needed. That's bringing in that healing for that person, because grief's the funny thing, isn't it? It can make someone feel very down, but not necessarily releasing the emotions, you know? Yeah,
I
definitely.
agree. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
there's been countless times, and I think it's probably the same for you, Helen, that
Mhm.
it can just be a word given from spirit,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
or the energy.
yeah,
Because I never forget once at Slough Spiritualist Church,
yeah.
I was reading through this communicator, and this woman, the woman who was getting him, said, I hated him. He was horrible to me in my life. But I also had three angels there, and they wanted this lady to forgive him. All
Right.
right. And
Okay.
she's
Yeah.
saying he's horrible and all the rest of it. And he was horrible to me in life. And I said, look, I've got these 3 angels, blah, 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 and they need you to forgive them. Their arms are folded. Never.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
gold ball of light come from the middle angel, and it was that physical. I actually stepped back to get out of his
Yeah.
way,
Yeah.
and it hit her smack on the chest. She went like that.
Oh wow.
And then
Amazing.
the release come out, and she burst into tears. And it's such a how can I put it? It's such a way to be. It's such a blessing to be an intermediary for those energies, isn't it? You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah, I understand that as well, because I think that quite a lot of work that I do when I'm working with spirit, if there was a falling out, or I find a lot of the spirit world want to make peace, because for whatever reason they didn't get to do it there. And I think they go to spirit and they realize sometimes the errors of their ways, and people are like you said, shut down. No, I don't want to hear from that. And I'll be like, please, I need to tell you what they're saying, because they want to apologize. And as you said, if we become bitter, we close ourselves down and we're not allowing that emotion. Do you know what I mean? And then that healing, because the spirit world, bring about trying to repair some of the fractured relationships, that was as well, and they don't want them to hold on to anger, because anger is such a negative energy, isn't it? And it's like, yeah, that's what I want to say about that. I just feel that I'm just touching on that, what you were saying, because the spirit world were talking to me about that. Yeah. Absolutely.
I was going to say something then, but I've got transfixed on this question.
Okay.
I mean, mediumship, it's not just about providing evidence of survival. It's healing. It's bringing comfort. Our purpose with mediumship is to bring upliftment and healing and peace, or whatever's needed. And to be purveyors of that teaching, we have to practice that. It's not just about learning how to link in and give an evidential message. I've got a strong feeling you'll agree with that, Helen.
Yeah, I do, 100%. I do.
No, I'll connect you with your loved ones. Sorry, I'm being catty now. Sorry.
I know what you're saying, though, but I understand what you're saying.
Yeah,
I totally do. I mean, if it was that easy, the whole world would be doing it, Stephen, and it really isn't. And you have highs and lows in your career, where they change the guide or what have you, and I've had that where I had it just a few months ago, and they were trying to, I feel like, strengthen up other senses, but it just was not working. And I had about 3 or 4 dems where I was like, I'm not going to stand up there. Because it was like, no. And that's such a hard thing as a medium. I know we get no's, I get that. But the changes they've made were not working. So we kind of almost went back to the drawing board, and they changed things again, and I think that's important. You've got to have the changes to learn. But at the same time, what works for you works for you. Does that make sense as well? I think sometimes, though, because
100%.
I work clairvoyantly and clairaudently mainly, so they're my stronger senses. But I think sometimes they almost want to change things, so I use my other senses within it.
My take on it is when I get a different way of working whilst I'm working at that time. We can't stay in our comfort zone. I mean, I've learned that with spirit. They don't keep us in our comfort zone.
Definitely not.
I think the reason they do it is because they want us to heighten our senses. They want senses, and they want to heighten our awareness, and they want us to have greater attunement.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why these things come in all of a sudden. It does throw you, but I try to embrace it. I try to embrace it and go with it. You know what I mean?
I'm probably the other way, a bit like, what are you doing to me? What are you doing to
me? Yeah. Read this question from Kindness.
Yeah.
She says, if you feel lonely or lost, do you ask spirit to come and talk to you? What's your take?
Well, you see, this is an interesting thing, isn't it? Because as I said to you earlier, a lot of mediums don't necessarily can hear from their family and spirit. Okay, now, because that is, some do, right? But I mean, I'm quite lucky, aren't I, in that respect? So if I'm feeling quite down or I'm feeling quite low, then I feel that as if my dad or my nan would come in from spirit. and just give me a cuddle and just say that we're there to support you, you know. But I do feel like if you're feeling that way and you're feeling lonely and you're feeling sad, always ask the spirit world to send you some healing, you know, because I think sometimes people forget to ask for the healing for themselves, regardless of whether they work with spirit or not, you know. Prayer is an important part as well. And if you feel that way, it's important to ask for the healing for yourselves, because that would help. Do you know what I mean? It would just help you just ask for this, you know what I mean? That's what I want to say on that. Yeah, that's what I would say. I do think that they are aware. I think spirit, or my close family spirit, know me probably better than I know myself, if you get what I mean with things. And I think they know when I'm feeling low or if I'm feeling down, they'll come close to me and I'm aware, or they'll just say, oh, my nan will just be there. Do you know what I mean? She just comes in automatically. So I don't know how you feel with that. Do you connect with any of your loved ones in spirit, your family?
Yeah. What I want to say is, Helen, that
Yeah.
spirit are a million miles away. They're all around us. The spirit
Yeah.
realm, we are
Yeah.
spirit.
Yes.
Right? We're vibrating through matter at this time. You know, it's not us here on the earth and they're sort of like a zillion miles away somewhere. The spirit realms are all around us. We are spirit. You know, even matter, this desk that I've got my laptop on is vibrating in matter, but it has a spiritual essence, if you know what I mean.
Yeah,
Everything is
I know what
spirit.
you're saying.
Everything is consciousness. So what I do is, me personally, I've been through 2 dark nights of the soul. All right. That's basically where everything goes wrong. And I just see dark nights of the souls as like a reset, a life reset to get you thinking straight. But what I want to say is, at one point I said to my guides, you know, I'm going through hell and high water here. Why aren't you with me? And they said, because it was just you were too immersed in your own problems, we couldn't get through. So a good point to use, prayer and meditation is very, very important. So when I'm feeling sad, lonely, lost, or fed up, or whatever, you know, and I just feel I need that little bit of guidance, I empty my vessel and I invite spirit in. My dad's always around me. My granddad and my grandmother are always around me. And at times, my spirit guide, Red Cloud, I can feel him physically come and stand next to me. Even though, like, there's nobody there, but I just feel his physical presence just come and stand next to me.
You know what I mean? So I do.
Don't think they're a million miles away. They're all around us. We are spirit. You know, the earth is a realm of spirit, everything like that. So you just have to open your heart and mind, kindness, and they will be there with you. But you just have to reach out of your own sadness or your own loneliness or whatever to connect. I hope that answers your question. We have answered your question, kindness.
Yeah, interesting one. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And also, I mean, I've never found the philosophy side the easiest for me. I tend to sort of sit with spirit and write. Do you know what I mean? I tend to get tongue-tied on platform with my philosophy. You have amazing poetry and amazing philosophy, Stephen. And it's not something that I've found particularly easy. But if I do a church service and I don't know, found a poem or a reading and that, but quite often, even if you've not worked with that particular person in the evening, they might come up and say, I really resonated with what you said today. And so the philosophy side of things really, really helps people, because it touches their heart, but also makes them look at things a little bit differently. So that philosophy side, because we hadn't mentioned it, I feel is really important too, because it reaches out to other people more. Do you know what I mean? It brings that connection in more as well. And as I say, I never found it easy, but I do sit with spirit and do a bit of philosophy now and again. But I feel it is an important part though as well. Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, I agree. To me, the philosophy side of it is the message from spirit. Now, when you go on to the next bit, that's for the personal messages. That's the individual messages.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I do bring in spirit guides if they want to talk. I do bring angels if they want to talk. But all that aside, because I know that isn't really SNU thinking. But anyway, that aside, the address, the philosophy, the inspired talk, whatever you want to call it, is the big message from Spirit. And I think everybody should sit up and listen. That's just me personally, Helen. And you're right. There are people that come along that just come to listen to the address.
Yeah.
If they get a message, it's a bonus sort of thing. But we are teachers, Helen. This is what I've been trying to say, I think, is that we are teachers. And when we open, we have to practice that teaching in our everyday lives. So when we open the Spirit and we're given an address, we are, you know, that's an important, to me, that's an important aspect of mediumship. Would you agree?
I feel it's a really important aspect of it. I really do. Yeah, absolutely. Because you're still reaching out to people. You might not necessarily be giving that person a message, but your philosophy could be something that's happening in someone's life at that moment, or they're just like, wow, okay, that really affects me on a deep personal level, you know. And we're obviously drawn to do different philosophies, different churches, and whatever we feel, you know. I always say to Spirit, what should we do today? Do you know? And I've got a big folder with lots of different, you know, readings and addresses in, and they draw me to what needs to be. Do you know what I mean? I say to them, what should we talk about today? And quite often, 9 times out of 10, people are like, oh, I really resonated with that. I really needed to hear them words today. And so I think that is another massive part. You know, it's not just about giving messages, isn't it?
That is very much working as a medium. That is so very much working as a medium, not just connecting people with their loved ones. That to me is true mediumship. You know, bringing that knowledge through from Spirit, and you know, and it touching people's hearts and helping them to think differently, feel differently. You know, maybe change their lives in a certain way or whatever. That you know, I think. Because I think teaching philosophy, whichever we want to call it, has a very important place, but it seems to be getting less and less. I don't know if you'd agree with that. You know what I mean?
I really would, because I never really had
messages all the time. You know,
I kind of almost had to work on that myself, because I never got taught any of the philosophy side. So I had to kind of find my feet myself with that. And obviously, as I've grown over the last few years, sometimes philosophy's got quite deep now, and I'm like, wow, I never would have done this sort of like 5 years ago. Do you know what I mean? And some of it to the point where it's like, I can understand it now, but it might be too deep for others, if you get what I'm trying to say. And I'm like, okay, this is another level. But as I say, I was never kind of taught that, but it is an important part, you know. And so when I did teaching previously, I tried to sort of like encourage people to do that, you know what I mean, more freely. As I say, I tend to get a bit tongue-tied on the platform when I'm doing philosophy. So sometimes I find it better to just sit and, you know, write a Spirit channels with me to whatever address I'm going to talk about. But it's different for everyone, that, isn't it, you know? So, yeah, I can do it. I think it's just a confidence thing. But I tend to kind of write mine down, you know? Yeah. So it's just the way I work, really. So
no, that's lovely. You'll be surprised how many people say to me that they can't do an address, and they get to a church and they refuse to do one. So it ends up somebody else doing it. All right. But I was very lucky, Helen, because back in the day, with my teacher, she would give us a word, and we'd have to link into our guides and write down what our guides were saying about that word, then stand up and present it as an address. So I had that training.
Okay.
I had that development, and I've been doing it for blooming years. It's like you know, even now I will struggle. You know what I mean? What's the case saying? Yes, if don't make changes, you can't move forward. To change behaviour via thoughts and feelings, that will result in different consequences, making positive outcomes that heal and gives emotional relief. You see, what a lot of people don't realise is, Helen, life is about change.
Yes.
You know, and Spirit teach about change all the time. You know, and it's when we, you know, it's great if we get to, you know, we've all got parts of our lives where everything's lovely and, you know, everything's fan-dabby-dozy. We don't want it to change, but it will do.
Yeah.
You know, people pass away or they move on or we lose a job or whatever. You
Yeah.
know,
Yeah.
it changes, but it's how we look at change, doesn't it? And I think
You're right. That's a really interesting point. Yeah, definitely.
we
Go
as
on.
mediums, through the address, can help people with that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yes.
You know,
But I
which
sometimes think I just want to mention this as I talk here. My mum, bless her, she has Alzheimer's, and so that's really hard going for the family. It's really hard going for me because it's taken it's taken like my mum away in respect that she can't have a conversation with me anymore. Okay, so it's very yes and no, and so part of her spiritual soul then has passed over to spirit. Okay, and so it essentially I'm grieving. Yeah, I've been grieving for a while because part of her's gone, and I think for anyone who has family that suffers with dementia, there's been a lot in our family and Alzheimer's. I think it's very hard to watch our loved ones, um, get worse, but to the point where then you can't even have that conversation with them anymore. And I think that the spirit world do help me to keep going with that, because they know that I'm in quite a lot of emotional pain with it, shall I say. Then I definitely am, and part of my mum's gone now, and I try to spend that time with her when I'm not working myself all the time, because I think spend that time with her while she's here and make the best of it. But it's very hard, isn't it? Because it's like she's still here, but part of her's not, and I just felt I wanted to just say about that, really, because I just think emotionally that's been really hard, and I think spirit have helped me to not overcome it, but certainly work through that, because I still obviously get days where I'm like, well, it's really hit me today, and then tomorrow I'll get back up again. Do you know what I mean? So I think we're not exempt from emotional trauma and emotional pain, but like you say, we have to find the strength to get back up again and carry on, because what's the other option? Do you know what I'm saying?
yeah, just have duvet days all the time. I don't know if you know, Helen, but I work for Meals on Wheels, and most of the people I deliver meals to have got dementia in varying levels and varying forms. And
Right.
sometimes I walk I'll dish their meal up or whatever, and I walk.
Yeah.
Some of the things they've said to me, I walk away with a lump in my throat.
Yes. Yeah.
It's like there's one sort of 93-year-old lady, and she said to me, I'm dishing up my meal, and she said, I've got another house, And I went, oh, yeah, that's lovely. And she said, yeah, my daddy lives there. I went, oh, right. And then she said, I'm going to visit my daddy this afternoon. She's 93, so how old must her dad be?
Yeah, okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And sometimes I bump into the next of kins around there, the sons and the daughters and everything like that. And you can sense the grieving coming from like you.
Yeah.
With your own mother, and my heart, reaches out to you, and I'm sending you my love, Helen.
Thank you.
Because
thank you so much.
But all I could say to you on a spiritual level is just send your give your love to your mother. All right. Because it will very much help her on a soul level as well as a physical and a mental level.
I send out a lot of healing, do you know what I mean, to her. But I think this is like, we have to evolve, like you say. Change is not easy for anyone, and we have to evolve and we have to keep going. What's the other option, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? And I think the spirit world give you that strength to keep going and pushing through no matter what. But I want to say I found it very, very hard to witness this, and people say to you, oh, have you had it where she doesn't recognize you? And you just think, I don't even want to even envision that at the moment. I'm just living in the now, and I just want to spend that time with her, while she's still here. But it's something I wanted to touch on, because it's a really traumatizing illness for the families that go through that, and I've found it incredibly hard at times, but we keep going, don't we? We have to keep going, really.
And again, it's about putting yourself to one side. you know, and I wish people that come and watch us demonstrate will realise that sometimes we're on our chin straps and we have these
Yeah.
problems and everything like that, and we're gutted and we're sad and everything like that. But we've risen out of it, we've risen above it, as the old saying says, and we, you know, we've become a clear vessel, and we're there for them to help them.
Yes.
You know,
Definitely.
yeah. We've driven up the motorway or whatever. You know, we finished work, we've driven up the motorway, and we're there to help them. We put ourselves to one side to help them. That's why some of the reactions you get sometimes do annoy me. But anyway.
I don't know about you. Do you ever kind of feel that the journey can be a little bit lonely? Because I think that you know, when I'm working away through the summer months quite a bit, I'm not at home, and I miss my Jade. I can't see her every weekend. And again, this comes into the commitment you make to spirit. But sometimes you're like, I actually want to be at home with my family, with my mum and my daughter. But sometimes it's quite lonely, isn't it? Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because my husband's even said to me sometimes, I really miss you, you know, because he knows how I hold spirit in such high regard and that commitment that I make. But sometimes he's like, I just miss spending that time with you. Do you know what I'm trying to say? It's very hard, isn't it? Because you are,
I've had that in relationships where, you know, I've been dumped basically because I'm never with them, you know, and all the rest of it.
Yes.
Because you're charging up and down the motorway, and you've got to earn a living as well. And
exactly.
It can be a lonely road. I mean, but you know, we all have monikers online now, don't we? I call myself Lone Voyager. You know what I mean? Yeah, for years I called myself Lone Voyager. And it's just all the journey of a lonely soul. That was what Messenger turned out to be. But journey of a lonely soul, and it can be, because I think, you know, especially when we're younger, or like, you know, you'll understand this, is you're seeing and feeling things that nobody else seems to be seeing and feeling. You know what I mean? So there's a loneliness on that side of things.
And doesn't it develop you emotionally more? You know, like people say, I love watching the news, and this, I don't even watch the news because I sit there crying. And you know, like when they put the charity programs up and the suffering on there, I can't bear it. And I never used to be affected by any of that. Now I'm probably super over emotional, affected by everything. Do you know what I mean? So I think these changes come about in you, don't they, as well? That humanitarian side is like, whoa, do you know what I mean? The emotional side and how you feel is intensified, because people say to me, why am I feeling so overcome with emotion when I'm connecting with spirit? I just feel like I want to cry. And I said, that's a normal, do you know what I mean, response to spirit coming in close, especially if they come in really close. It can really make you feel quite emotional. I find that myself, you know.
Because we are the intermediary. One message that I gave that really exemplifies this is there was two sisters sitting in the audience, and I was bringing their dad through. Now, he'd only been gone a couple of weeks, and he was so overjoyed that he was getting through. Right? But they were crying their eyes out because he'd got through, and he's proving to them that he's surviving, and he's everything like that, and he's talking about things that he wants sorted out on the earth. You know, but you're feeling the energy from the two people receiving the message, and you're feeling you're in the middle, and you're feeling the energy from the communicator. And I said to these two ladies, I said, look, you know, I'm going to have to wind this message up, or the three of us will land up in the car park bawling our eyes out, because it's really making me want to, you know what I mean?
It does. It does make you like that, though, doesn't it? Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I can't remember now. There was something quite recent when I was working away, and I can't remember the whole dynamics of it, because I don't tend to hold on to things. But this lady was just so overcome with emotion, and the spirit person that I was working with was sobbing as well, and I was like, whoa. And I could feel my eyes welling up, thinking I need to like hold myself together here, because if I can't hold myself, someone's got to be the anchor here. Do you know what I mean? And that is sometimes quite difficult because, like you say, they can make you feel how they feel in that moment as well. And they bring all that emotion. It's like, well, okay, I need to kind of, you know, be strong to help that person. But there's been times where like, my eyes have welled up, in the past as well with some of the links, you know. Yeah,
And we do get that, and we have to learn how to control it, to present
yeah.
it properly, and everything like that. And Stephen Robert Moore says it's empathy that resonates. Yes, we need that empathy. That's why we're getting the energy from the spirit communicator and the people receiving the message. Okay.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, it doesn't matter how many courses you've been on, whether you've been to the Upper Findlay College or not, or how many workshops you've done. Spirit needs you to have compassion, empathy, and kindness, and most of all, love.
Yeah,
They are
absolutely.
the qualifications to be a medium. Okay.
Yeah.
What's Miss Kay saying? It's working with people. I left a job at a hospital because I felt guilty providing care for other people and helping the world, but not providing physical care of my own family in another state. Yeah, this is getting on to what Helen was saying, you know, about it being a lonely road, being a medium. You know, I mean, I'm like you, Helen. I love to do what we do.
Yeah.
Okay, but while we're out doing it and working as well,
Yeah.
our personal life seems to slide a bit. So then we have to find that balance, don't we?
And we're always striving for that. And I feel like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
struggle to get the balance sometimes. And I think like I probably have more conversations with the spirit world than I do my husband. And I think that's not good, is it? So I try when I'm not working to kind of engage more with my husband because he knows when I'm going to work that day, I'm away with the fairies. You know, I mean, what I'm trying to say is my mind is elsewhere. He can be speaking to me and I'm half acknowledging it. But when my mind has switched over to work with spirit, I'm just all at sea. And he tends to just say, look, I just do my thing. You know what I mean? And I go into meditation or whatever, however I want to prepare, because I just find that when my mind goes over to spirit, that's it. My logical mind kicks off. Do you know what I mean? And I can't remember things. My memory goes. You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. My memory turns to when I'm linked in. But I'm just going to read this little poem that I wrote this week actually, and
wonderful.
It's this is guided by this poem was inspired by the spiritual path that I'm on now with my own development and the teachings of Jesus. Okay, and I entitled it "Shine." Reality is a room in a mansion of realities where we dwell. Do not think in mortal terms. Time has no consequence in eternity. It is our gift to seek our soul's truth. The nature of reality is to nurture our inner light, for our soul and all souls to become as one. Life without change leads to inertia. The walls will close in on us. Our time in that reality is spent. We must prepare our new room by the awakening of God within. Do not deny our power of creation to shape the reality of our dwelling. The truth awaits us all. And thank you for listening.
That's really beautiful, Stephen. Absolutely amazing. I love your poems and all your philosophy because you just have such a beautiful delivery with them and that can help so many people. Do you know what I mean? And I just think that was really beautiful. Lovely. Well done. Amazing.
Thank you. And that's what we're doing as mediums. We're helping people to find the God within. All right. That is our greatest teaching, I think. Helen.
Yes, right? I do. I agree with you.
It's 3:00 now, and Veronica will want us to go home. But Helen, you've been amazing as always. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, honestly. All right. And I'll book you in.
Thank you so much. Yeah, that'd be lovely. Thank you so much, Stephen, for having me. It's been an absolute joy to sit and speak with you today. Thank you. And thank you to Veronica as well. Thank you so much.
God bless. Thank you. Thanks, Veronica.
Thank you.